If you want to make real progress in life, you have to keep moving forward every single day. It doesn't matter how tired you feel or what problems come your way. What matters is showing up and taking action, even when it's hard. In this video, you'll learn simple but powerful ways to push yourself ahead daily. You'll discover how small choices and habits build momentum that leads to big results over time. This isn't about waiting for motivation or feeling ready. It's about creating a steady path toward your goals, no matter what. Stay with me and you'll find practical steps that help you break through resistance, stay focused, and keep growing every day. This is your chance to take control of your journey and make sure every day counts. Let's get started. Number 1, start your day with one clear written goal. Every day when you wake up, you face a decision that most people ignore. A decision that seems small but controls everything that follows. That decision is about your direction. It's about what you are going to focus on. You see, the day doesn't ask you what you want. It just starts moving. And if you're not clear about what you expect from it, the day will slip right past you. That's why writing down one clear goal every single morning can change your life. This isn't about being busy. It's about being intentional. There's a big difference. Most people are tired not because they do too much, but because they do too much of what doesn't matter. They respond to everything. They jump from one thing to the next. They check their phones. They scroll. They do things they didn't plan, and at the end of the day, they feel empty. Not because they didn't work hard, but because they didn't move forward. They didn't aim. They didn't write that goal in the morning. The human mind needs clarity. We need a target. We need a reason to stretch. A reason to use our time well. And that's what a clear written goal does. It gives your mind something to lock onto. Without it, your brain is scattered. It reacts to whatever comes your way. But with one goal, just one, you take control. Some people think they need to write 10 things. They think success means doing it all. But real success isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right thing. One thing. One goal that matters today. One thing that pushes you forward. Even a little. Maybe it's a task you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a step you've been putting off. Maybe it's something small but meaningful. It doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be clear. The act of writing it down is powerful. Because when you write, you take it out of your mind and make it real. You turn a thought into a decision. That's when change begins. That's when direction becomes action. Think about it. How many times have you thought about something but didn't do it? The problem wasn't that it wasn't important. The problem was it wasn't written. It wasn't real enough. It wasn't visible. It didn't get your attention. When you write a goal, you're telling yourself, this is what I'm committed to today. It becomes a contract with yourself. And if you do this every single day, something begins to shift. You stop drifting. You stop letting circumstances decide. You stop being pulled by emotion. You stop waiting for motivation. You start moving with purpose. This habit builds confidence. You don't need to wait for something big to believe in yourself. You start believing because you followed through on something small. You start trusting yourself again. And that trust turns into momentum. The more you do this, the more powerful it becomes. You begin to notice results. You begin to feel proud. You begin to feel in charge of your life again. Most people don't struggle because they're weak. They struggle because they have no structure. They wake up and hope the day goes well. But hope is not a strategy. Clarity is. Writing your goal each morning is structure. It is focus. It is responsibility. It is saying, I refuse to waste this day. You only get so many days. That's the truth. And every day you waste without direction is a day you don't get back. The time is passing, whether you use it or not. But if you start each morning with a goal, now you're using time instead of losing it. And you'll be surprised how much progress you can make in 1 month, if you just write one goal each morning and actually follow through. Here's what happens when you don't write a goal. You scroll your phone, check your messages, go through the motions, and call that a day. But here's what happens when you do write a goal. You wake up, you see the paper, you read it, and you feel a sense of direction. You feel a reason to move. And even when you don't feel like it, you do it anyway, because you committed to it. Discipline doesn't start with huge acts. It starts with that one moment of commitment in the morning. One clear goal forces you to ask better questions. What matters today? What will move me forward? What can I do today that tomorrow will thank me for? You begin to see your time differently. You stop trying to fit your life into the day. Instead, you fit the day into your life. You give your day a role to play. And it's amazing how things start to change. One goal, one day, one choice at a time. That's how progress happens. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to get it all right today. You just need one written goal to aim at. If you do that every day, you will separate yourself from the crowd. Because most people don't do this. They think about goals, they talk about goals, but they don't write them, and they don't act on them. You don't want to be most people. You want to move forward. You want to grow. And growth starts with direction. Direction starts with clarity. And clarity begins with one small habit. Write down one clear goal every morning, before the day takes control. Don't overthink it. Don't complicate it. You don't need to know everything right now. Just start with one sentence, one commitment. That's how you learn. That's how you improve. That's how you become the kind of person who finishes what they start. You want to feel strong again? You want to feel proud again? You want to build the kind of life you respect? It starts in the quiet hours of the morning, with a pen and a piece of paper. No distractions, no noise, just you and the decision to move forward. The goal you write doesn't have to impress anyone. It just has to be yours. It has to mean something to you. It has to matter enough that you'll actually do it. If you keep doing this, you'll start to look back on your weeks and see how far you've come. That's the reward. That's the power of forcing yourself to move forward every day. And when things get hard, and they will, you won't give up. Because this habit will remind you that every day still counts. Every step still matters. Every goal still builds something inside you. Something stronger, something better, something that lasts. Number 2, do one hard task even when you resist. There's something powerful about doing the thing you don't feel like doing. Something that builds a certain kind of strength most people never develop. Every morning, every afternoon, every evening, you're faced with moments where you know what needs to be done, and you don't want to do it. That resistance shows up with all kinds of excuses. It tells you you're tired. It tells you it's not urgent. It tells you it can wait. But what it's really doing is testing you. It's checking whether you're serious about growth or just interested in comfort. The people who grow, the people who rise, the people who change their lives, those people do what they don't feel like doing, not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You can't move forward by doing only what feels good. You move forward when you show up, even when you don't want to. Especially then. That one hard task, the one you keep putting off, the one that sits in the back of your mind and drains your energy, even when you ignore it. That's the one that holds the key. Not because of what the task is, but because of what doing it means. It means you are training your will. You are strengthening your discipline. You are proving to yourself that you're in control. Not your mood, not your environment, not your fear. You have to understand something. Resistance is not a sign to stop. It's a sign to act. The stronger the resistance, the more important the action. When you feel it, you need to move toward it, not away from it. Most people don't do that. They avoid, they delay, They try to bargain with themselves. But you can't win the inner war by negotiating with comfort. You win it by facing the discomfort head on. Think of what happens when you do that task anyway. Your heart might beat a little faster. Your mind might try to distract you. But once you push through and complete it, everything changes. You feel different. You walk different. You talk different. You build a kind of quiet confidence that doesn't need applause, because deep down you know what you did. You faced what you didn't want to face. You didn't back down. And when you do this consistently, it reshapes who you are. You stop identifying as someone who quits. You stop giving power to the part of your mind that looks for shortcuts. You begin to develop real self-respect. Not the kind that's based on compliments from others. The kind that comes from personal evidence. Evidence that you follow through. Evidence that you do hard things. Most people never get that feeling because they never push through the resistance. They settle. They build a life around avoiding discomfort. But the more you avoid, the weaker you become. The harder life gets. Because life doesn't go easy on people who avoid hard things. Life doesn't reward avoidance. It rewards action. You need to understand that discipline isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing what matters. Especially when you don't want to. One hard task a day. That's where you begin. One thing you've been pushing aside. One thing that feels uncomfortable. One thing that makes you nervous. That's the one you need to do today. It could be a difficult conversation. It could be a piece of work that demands your full attention. It could be something you've failed at before. Whatever it is, your job is not to wait until you feel ready. Your job is to start. Start even if your hands shake. Start even if your mind resists. Start because that's how you take your power back. This is how you grow. Not by reading about change, but by acting through resistance. Every time you do this, you add a layer to your character. You build the kind of resilience that doesn't crack under pressure. You become someone who can be counted on by others. But most importantly, by yourself. Doing one hard thing each day will separate you from the crowd. It will sharpen your mind. It will toughen your spirit. It will give you the ability to handle pressure when others fold. That's not talent. That's not luck. That's trained behavior. And you train it by choosing effort over ease, challenge over comfort, progress over excuse. You don't need motivation to begin. You need a standard. You need to raise the bar for yourself. You need to stop allowing your feelings to be the final decision maker. When the task shows up and you don't feel like it, recognize that moment as the most important moment of the day, because what you do next is what counts. If you keep choosing what's easy, you'll stay where you are. But if you start doing the hard things, the ones you resist, you'll start to see change. Not all at once, not overnight, but step by step. You'll notice a shift. You'll see it in how you respond to stress. You'll feel it in your energy. You'll notice it in your results. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to carry yourself with quiet certainty. Because you've got proof. You've built a record of doing things, even when they were uncomfortable, even when they were boring, even when they scared you. This isn't about making your life harder for no reason. It's about choosing short-term discomfort for long-term strength. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need perfect conditions to take action. The kind of person who shows up anyway. Because once you do that, life opens up in a way most people will never understand. The more you lean into the hard things, the more you realize they weren't impossible. They were just unfamiliar. They were just uncomfortable. And now they're done. That's how you build progress. That's how you build grit. That's how you move forward. Every single day. Number 3. Track your daily progress without skipping a day. Progress doesn't speak unless you keep a record. And if you don't write it down, you don't know how far you've come. You can't measure what you don't track. That's the part most people miss. They work hard. They struggle. They push themselves. But they don't stop to take account of what they've done. And without that record, everything starts to blur. The wins get lost. The lessons disappear. And all that effort feels like it never happened. Tracking your progress daily isn't just about checking boxes. It's about staying awake. It's about being aware of your steps, your movement, your direction. If you go through your day doing things and never take 5 minutes to review, your progress remains invisible. And invisible progress doesn't build confidence. What builds confidence is seeing the proof of your effort, clearly, consistently. In writing, when you write it down, you see patterns. You begin to understand your habits. You know when you fall short. You know when you rise above. You know when your focus slipped and when your energy was at its best. This level of self-awareness gives you an edge. Because now you're not just reacting to life. You're studying yourself. You're learning from your own action. And that kind of learning is far more powerful than reading a book or watching someone else talk about discipline. Even small progress is worth recording. Maybe you didn't finish the whole task, but you started. Maybe you didn't have the energy to give your best, but you showed up anyway. That's worth something. That matters. If you skip tracking just because the day didn't go the way you hoped, you rob yourself of growth. Every day counts, not just the perfect ones. It doesn't take long. A few lines, a short list, a clear reflection. What did you do today that helped you move forward? What did you avoid? What needs improvement? When you do this daily, you begin to create a connection between action and awareness. That's where improvement comes from. Awareness followed by adjustment. Without awareness, you repeat the same mistakes and call it effort. There's a kind of discipline that forms when you refuse to let a single day pass without logging your progress. That discipline shapes your mindset. It keeps you grounded. It reminds you that you are responsible for your movement. And when you can look back and see 7 straight days of written records, something changes in you. You stop second-guessing your consistency. You stop wondering if you're really trying. Because now you have the evidence. The problem is, most people give up on tracking because they want every day to be impressive. But tracking isn't about impressing anyone, not even yourself. It's about being honest. If the day was hard, write that down. If you struggled to focus, admit it. If you made excuses, record that too. Because even your bad days are part of your story. And when you look back, you'll learn more from your weakest moments than from your strongest ones. Tracking also keeps you connected to your goals. It prevents you from drifting. If you don't track, it's easy to fall into the habit of doing things just to stay busy. But when you track, you ask better questions. You check if what you're doing is actually helping you grow. You hold yourself accountable, not in a harsh way, but in a real way. And it builds momentum. Each recorded day becomes a brick. And the more bricks you lay, the more solid your foundation becomes. This isn't just a habit. It's structure. It's something you can rely on when motivation fades. Because motivation will fade. But a clear process doesn't. A system of daily tracking will keep you going when your emotions try to pull you off track. You don't need a fancy app or a perfect notebook. You just need a method that you stick with. Something simple. Something clear. A notebook, a journal, even a document. What matters is that you keep it going. No skipping. No missing days. Because you didn't feel like it. If you're serious about growth, you don't take days off from awareness. This habit will show you who you really are. It will reveal your tendencies. You'll see how you behave under pressure. You'll see what triggers your best performance. You'll know when you're avoiding and when you're showing up fully. It's a mirror that doesn't lie. And once you get used to looking into that mirror daily, you stop pretending. You stop hiding behind your intentions and face your actual execution. You'll also find that this practice brings calm. It takes the stress out of uncertainty. Because even when things feel messy, you'll know what you've done. You'll know what you're building. You won't feel lost in your own process. You'll be able to track exactly where you are and what needs work. The consistency matters more than the content. Some days, your progress will be big. Other days, it'll be small. But showing up to track it every time, that's the win. That's what separates those who make it from those who just try. Anyone can be focused for one day, but it takes strength to stay intentional. Day after day, there's something solid about a record that doesn't break. A streak that you protect. Not for applause, but for integrity. When you look back at a full page, a full week, a full month, filled with entries, reflections, notes, it shows that you cared, that you showed up, that you didn't let the day control you. It also prepares you for tougher seasons, because the person who tracks their process daily builds habits that don't disappear in pressure. You'll be the one who still has structure when life gets loud. You'll still have a plan when others start guessing, because you've trained yourself to be organized, focused, and accountable every single day. And when doubt creeps in, and it will, you'll have something real to fight it with. Not empty words, not fake motivation, but a full record of effort. You'll be able to say, I've been showing up. I've been putting in the work. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I know exactly what I've done to get here. That kind of certainty is rare, but it's available to anyone who's willing to track their progress without skipping a day. Number 4, wake up early and use the quiet hours. There's something important about what you choose to do when the world is still. Those early morning hours hold power, but most people never access it because they're still asleep. When you choose to wake up early, you're making a quiet decision to take control before the day makes demands on you. You're giving yourself space to think, move, act, and prepare without interruption. In those quiet hours, there are no distractions, no expectations, no noise, just time, clear and available, waiting to be used well. The mistake many people make is thinking they need more hours in the day. But what they actually need is better hours. And there is no better hour than the first one you own. When you get up early, you're not racing, you're not reacting, you're leading your day instead of chasing it. That shift gives you clarity. It sets the tone. It tells your mind that you are the one in charge. And it's not about waking up early just to be up. It's about what you do with that time. Those first hours should be reserved for your highest priorities. Not checking your phone, not catching up on someone else's updates. This is your time to build yourself, to read, to write, to plan, to think, to set your direction, to move your body, to breathe without pressure. When you use those hours with intention, everything else during the day becomes easier to handle. You don't need 4 hours. You don't need a miracle routine. You just need 1 hour that's yours. 1 hour where no one else's voice is louder than your own. Most people roll out of bed and walk straight into stress. Their minds are already behind before the day even starts. But when you rise early and step into silence, your thoughts become clearer. Your emotions settle. Your body listens. There's no rushing, just readiness. It builds discipline. But more than that, it builds self-respect. Because deep down, you know you could have stayed under the covers. You know you could have hit snooze again. But you didn't. You chose strength. You chose effort. You chose to value your time more than your comfort. That choice, repeated daily, changes the way you see yourself. It sharpens your identity. You stop identifying with delay and start identifying with direction. People say they're not morning people, but it's not about genetics. It's about habit. If your life matters to you, your goals, your energy, your future, you make time when it counts. And the truth is, mornings count. The early hours give you a head start before the world catches up. They give you a clear runway before the noise of the day begins. That's when you make progress without interruption. That's when ideas are clearer, thoughts are more focused, and actions have more weight. There's a peace that only exists in the morning before the sun rises. It's not something you can recreate in the middle of a busy day. That peace is a gift, but it's only available to those who are awake to receive it. When you start your day with that kind of calm control, you carry it with you. You walk into meetings more grounded. You face problems more prepared. You deal with people more patiently, because you've already done something for yourself first. That early discipline helps you stay consistent in other areas. It sets a rhythm. You stop waiting for the right time to do important things, because you've already made time. You start seeing results, not because you worked harder, but because you worked smarter. That quiet time becomes a system, a personal check-in, a daily appointment with your future self. And it's not about perfection. Some mornings will be harder than others. Some days your eyes won't want to open. But even then, you rise. You rise because your vision matters more than your comfort. You rise because staying in bed has never moved anyone forward. That small daily decision to get up early, even when it's difficult, is the foundation of personal power. And once you experience that, you start to crave the silence. You begin to value that time so much. You protect it. You realize that no one is coming to give you extra hours. You have to take them. You have to make that room for yourself. And it doesn't matter how late you went to bed, or how tired you feel. What matters is your standard. If your standard says you get up and show up, then that's what you do. You don't negotiate with excuses. You don't make room for weakness. You train your body to follow the lead of your decision. Some people say they'll work on their dreams after everything else is done. But by the end of the day, they're drained. Their energy is gone. Their focus is scattered. They gave all their strength to the demands of the world and left nothing for themselves. That's why the morning matters. That's why the quiet hours matter. Because no one else is pulling on you yet. That's when you work on what matters to you. That's when you build what the rest of the day tries to take away. Even 20 minutes of clear, focused time in the morning can redirect your entire day. It's not about length. It's about presence. It's about showing up fully, even if only for a short time, and doing what aligns with your goals. Whether it's planning your day, getting your body moving, journaling your thoughts, or reviewing your progress, it all begins in that quiet space before the world wakes up. You become more grounded, more prepared, more focused, because you've already taken care of your mind before the world tries to fill it. You've already moved your body before the chair locks you in. You've already directed your thoughts before distractions try to pull them in every direction. That's the value of early rising. Not just the time, but the ownership. You start to notice that you don't need to rush anymore. You're not playing catch up. You're not apologizing for being behind, because you started early. You handled what mattered before the noise started. That puts you ahead, not just in time, but in attitude, in mindset, in energy. You become proactive instead of reactive. And that's a different way of living, a better way, a stronger way, a way that produces results that last. You don't need to do what everyone else does. Most people waste their best hours. Most people live in delay. You're not most people. You know what's at stake, and you know what needs to be done when the world is quiet, and your thoughts are your own. Wake up early. Use those hours, not one day, every day, because the life you want is built when no one's watching. And those moments, the ones in the quiet, the stillness, the early hours, that's where the real work gets done. Number 5, break big tasks into small, daily actions. One of the main reasons people give up is because the goal looks too far, the task looks too big, and the road seems overwhelming. They look at the size of what they have to do, and they freeze. Not because they're lazy, not because they're incapable, but because their minds can't process all of it at once. You don't climb a mountain by jumping to the top. You do it by placing one foot in front of the other, over and over. That's what breaking a task down is about. It's not about lowering the goal. It's about raising your level of focus. Every time you face something big, your first job is to simplify it. You have to reduce the size of what you see. Not because it's not important, but because your brain works better when it has a clear next step. If you try to tackle it all at once, you'll end up doing nothing. You'll delay. You'll overthink. You'll make excuses. But when you break it down, now you've got something you can actually do today. Not next month. Not when you feel ready today. This approach gives you direction. It keeps you from standing still. A big task with no structure feels like a weight. It sits on your back and drains your energy before you even begin. But small daily actions create movement. Movement builds confidence. Confidence creates consistency. And consistency leads to results. That's how real progress happens. One action at a time. Repeated daily. You don't need to conquer the entire challenge today. What you need is to make a small move that gets you one step closer. Write a plan. Make a call. Review a document. Set a timer and work for 15 focused minutes. Every big goal is just a series of small actions stacked together. Once you understand that, the fear starts to fade. The stress loses its grip. Because now you're no longer overwhelmed. You're organized. You need to know that doing a little every day is more powerful than doing a lot once in a while. That's how real work is done. Small actions that look ordinary in the moment, but when stacked, become extraordinary in outcome. The people who build lasting success don't wait for giant wins. They build small wins every single day. And over time, those daily wins begin to add up to something meaningful. The key is to stop thinking in terms of outcomes and start thinking in terms of actions. Ask yourself, what can I do today that moves this forward just 1 inch? That's it. Not a mile. Just an inch. That's how you stay in motion. That's how you stay connected to the process. You stop getting distracted by how far you still have to go and focus on what's right in front of you. This doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means being smarter with your effort. When a task feels too big, it's easy to procrastinate. But when it's small and specific, it becomes manageable. And once it's manageable, it becomes doable. And once it's doable, you build momentum. That momentum changes everything. Suddenly you're making progress where you used to feel stuck. Suddenly, the work feels possible. You also begin to see time differently. You stop wasting whole days waiting for the perfect window to start. You realize that every hour counts. Every small step today saves you from the pressure of tomorrow. That's how you avoid burnout. Not by working harder, but by working steadily. It's important to be honest with yourself. If a task has been sitting on your list for too long, it's probably because it's too big. It's not broken down enough. You've written the outcome, not the action. You wrote start business instead of research, one product idea. You wrote get fit instead of do 20 push-ups. You wrote write a book instead of outline chapter 1. These are not the same. The first overwhelms you. The second moves you. And when you break things down, you also give yourself clarity. You begin to see what's essential and what's not. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You stop chasing shiny distractions. Because now you've got a list of actions, not just a dream. That's the difference between wishful thinking and practical progress. Small actions also create feedback. When you take one step today, you learn something. That learning helps you adjust your next step. You don't need to have the full plan figured out. You just need to take action, get feedback, and adjust. That cycle keeps you sharp. It keeps you moving forward, and it keeps you connected to reality. You'll start to notice something else. Each small task you complete gives you a sense of pride. It builds trust with yourself. You stop saying, I'll do it later, and start saying, I can do this now. That trust turns into confidence. And confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build through small acts of discipline. If you're facing a goal that scares you, don't run from it. Break it down. Divide it until there's no part of it that feels threatening. If one part still feels too big, break it again. Keep breaking it until you've got something you can act on today. Without hesitation. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's how high performers work. They don't try to do it all. They just make sure they do something every day. There's nothing stopping you from making progress except the way you approach the task. When you change your approach, everything changes. The pressure lifts. The excuses fade. The path becomes visible. That's what a small action does. It cuts through the noise. It brings you back to what matters. Action over anxiety. You can't move a mountain in a day, but you can carry one rock. Do that every day, and you'll look back in a year and realize how far you've come. You'll look at what you once thought was impossible, and realize you've built it brick by brick. Not with one massive effort, but with daily discipline. Quiet, steady, focused work. That's the formula. That's the real way to move forward. Number 6. Avoid distractions by setting strict time blocks. If you don't take charge of your time, everything around you will. Distractions are everywhere. They come dressed as notifications, background noise, pointless conversations, and small tasks that feel urgent, but don't move you forward. If you don't protect your focus, you lose it. You can't build a meaningful life in scattered minutes and broken hours. You need structure. You need boundaries. And one of the most powerful tools for that is setting strict time blocks. A time block is a simple commitment to do one thing at one time. Not 10 things. Not multitasking. One task. One focus. One time slot. And when you set it, you treat it like an appointment that can't be moved. Not optional. Not flexible. It's fixed. This is your time to do what matters most. No interruptions. No checking your phone. No reacting to messages. This is your space to produce, not consume. When you organize your day into time blocks, you gain clarity. You stop drifting. You stop jumping from one thing to the next, with no direction. You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and when. This brings relief. It lowers stress. It eliminates the endless decision-making that drains your energy. Because now, you don't have to wonder what to do. You already decided. Distractions are not always loud. Sometimes they're quiet. They look like just 5 minutes on social media. They feel like harmless breaks that turn into lost hours. And if you're not paying attention, you'll give away the most important parts of your day to things that don't matter. That's why time blocking isn't just helpful. It's essential. It protects you from wasting your best energy on the wrong things. This doesn't mean scheduling every second of your day. It means creating clear spaces for your priorities. A time to write. A time to learn. A time to work deeply. And when that time arrives, you show up. No negotiation. No debate. That's how you build discipline. Not just by doing hard things, but by doing the right things at the right time. The key is to make your time blocks non-negotiable. Treat them like meetings with your future. You wouldn't cancel an important meeting with someone who could change your life. And that's exactly what this is. When you work inside a time block, you're building something bigger than just completing a task. You're building self-respect. You're proving to yourself that you keep your word. You don't need to block out your entire day. Start small. 1 or 2 focus blocks each day is enough to change your direction. What matters is the intention. You're not letting the day push you around. You're deciding how the day will go. You're setting the pace. You're choosing what gets your attention and what doesn't. When you set a time block, eliminate everything that pulls you off task. Silence your phone. Close unnecessary tabs. Let people know you're not available during that time. Build an environment that supports focus. The fewer decisions you have to make during that hour, the more energy you can use on your actual work. That's how you go deep. That's how you produce quality. That's how you separate yourself from people who just stay busy. If you've ever ended a day wondering where your time went. It's because you didn't own it. Time blocking gives you that ownership back. It allows you to look at the clock and say, this is what I'm doing now and nothing else. It gives you a sense of control, and with that control comes power. Not power over others, power over yourself. Discipline is easier when the rules are clear. And time blocks are clear rules. They remove the emotional bargaining. You don't have to feel like working. You just have to follow the block. You don't need perfect motivation. You just need structure. That structure becomes your edge. It keeps you moving when distractions try to pull you away. Even 15 or 20 minutes of deep, undistracted work can produce more than hours of scattered effort. It's not about how long you work. It's about how focused you are when you do. Time blocks train you to focus. They teach you to value your minutes. They remind you that your future is built by what you do, not what you plan to do. People think they don't have time, but the truth is, they haven't learned to protect it. If you're not setting boundaries around your most valuable hours, you'll always feel behind. You'll always feel like there's too much to do and not enough time to do it. But when you begin to control your schedule, you regain peace. You stop reacting. You start executing. It also helps you create a rhythm. Your mind starts to adapt. It learns when to focus and when to rest. You stop wasting energy, switching between tasks, and start building momentum. That rhythm improves your quality of thought. You become sharper, more creative, more effective. People around you may not understand. They may expect you to respond instantly, but you're not here to please everyone. You're here to build something meaningful. And that means protecting your time, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Because the more you protect it, the more you realize how much you can actually get done in a short period of focused work. You won't need to work longer. You'll work smarter. You'll go to bed knowing you gave your best attention to the things that matter most. That peace is rare, but it's available. And it starts with drawing that line, setting that block, committing to that time, even when it's inconvenient, even when it would be easier to skip. This is not about being rigid. It's about being responsible. It's about using your time with purpose instead of throwing it away. Because wasted time becomes wasted potential. But time that's protected and used well, day after day, leads to a different kind of life. A life where progress is visible. A life where your work reflects your true ability. A life where you're no longer buried under chaos, but rising with clarity. Number 7. Reflect every night on what you accomplished today. The day is not complete until you've taken a moment to review it. The work you do, the decisions you make, the time you spend, they all carry value. But that value grows when you stop and think through what actually happened. Most people end their day distracted. They shut down with noise, entertainment, or exhaustion. They move straight from action into avoidance. But if you want to grow, if you want to improve, you can't end your day by ignoring it. You have to face it with honesty. You have to reflect. Reflection is not a long speech or a dramatic ritual. It's a quiet and clear process of asking yourself, what did I actually do today? Where did my time go? What decisions helped me? What slowed me down? It's about holding yourself accountable, not with guilt, but with clarity. You don't need to punish yourself for mistakes. You need to recognize them. And you don't need to chase perfection. You just need to tell yourself the truth. This is where real growth starts. At night, when the noise fades, and it's just you and your record of the day. If you skip this step, you miss the opportunity to adjust. You carry the same mistakes into tomorrow. You repeat the same errors. You stay stuck in the same patterns. But when you reflect, you start to spot those patterns. You become aware of what you're doing and why it's either helping or hurting your progress. It's not enough to just take action during the day. You need to evaluate that action. Did you use your time the way you planned? Did you follow through on what mattered most? Did you give your energy to your priorities, or get pulled into distractions? These questions are not there to create pressure. They're there to create perspective, because you can't fix what you don't see. When you start this habit, it might feel awkward or unnecessary, but stay with it. Over time, reflection becomes one of your most valuable tools. It gives you insight that no book can offer, because it's your own experience, your own behavior, your own journey being studied in real time. And when you do this nightly, you begin to notice progress that would have gone unnoticed. You realize just how much you're capable of, and you start to believe in your own growth. Not because someone said it's possible, but because you've seen the proof. It's not about writing essays or filling journals, unless that helps you. Even a few lines of reflection can change the course of your thinking. You could write down 3 wins, or 1 lesson, or a single sentence that sums up what you learned. The method isn't what matters most. It's the consistency. It's making sure that no day passes without review. When you get into this habit, your memory sharpens. You remember more of what you did. You stay more aware of your choices. And because you know you'll reflect at night, you start making better decisions during the day. You stay more present. You become more mindful. That awareness builds discipline. And that discipline leads to better days, one after the next, even on the days that feel unproductive. This practice matters, especially on those days, because reflecting on a hard day helps you recover. It stops you from judging yourself too harshly. It allows you to step back and say, okay, this didn't go as planned, but what can I learn? What will I do differently tomorrow? That shift changes everything. It turns setbacks into steps forward. You also become more emotionally balanced. When you reflect, you process your day. You don't carry the stress into your sleep. You don't bottle up frustration or disappointment. You give your mind space to settle. And in that space, you build wisdom, quietly, repeatedly, night after night. This isn't about reliving every detail. It's about gaining direction. You don't have to record everything, just the things that count, the choices that mattered, the effort you gave, the habits you practiced, the time you respected. When you reflect on these things, you reinforce them. You remind yourself that your time isn't cheap, your energy isn't unlimited, and your goals are too important to live unconsciously. Reflection also helps you measure real progress. Some days feel like nothing changed, but when you look back, you realize small wins added up. That conversation you avoided last week, you had it today. That habit you wanted to break, you stayed on track. That task you kept delaying, you finally started. These things may not feel big in the moment, but stacked up they build real movement. And reflection helps you see that clearly. This habit will make you more intentional. You stop floating through day. You stop hoping you're doing enough. You start knowing where you stand. You become more strategic. You set sharper priorities. You waste less time. You develop stronger awareness. And all of that comes from a few quiet minutes at the end of the day. Some people go through life wondering why they aren't growing, but they never look at what they're doing. They just keep repeating the same cycles. If you want to get better, you can't just act. You must analyze. Not endlessly. Not with overthinking. But with real attention, real focus, a few honest questions. That's all it takes to stay on the path. This isn't just about improvement. It's about integrity. When you reflect, you become someone who doesn't let your days slip away unnoticed. You stop losing time. You stop losing direction. You stay close to your purpose, and that closeness is where transformation begins. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present with your process. You need to look at your day with clear eyes. What worked? What didn't? What's next? That rhythm of daily review keeps you steady. It keeps you from drifting. It keeps you aligned with the person you're trying to become. And when you stack a month of these reflections, you'll be shocked at how much you've grown. Not just in what you've done, but in how you think, how you respond, how you choose. You'll see patterns in yourself you didn't know were there. And once you see them, you can change them. Your best progress won't come from random effort. It will come from consistent reflection, quiet moments, thoughtful the kind of work most people skip because it's not loud, but it's the work that lasts, the work that shapes you, the work that reminds you you're moving forward, one honest day at a time. Number 8, keep a journal to track mindset and momentum. Most people move through their days without ever pausing to understand what they're really thinking or how they're truly feeling. They go from task to task, day to day, without capturing what's actually happening inside them. And when you don't write it down, you forget. When you don't track it, you miss the changes. That's why keeping a journal isn't just helpful. It's necessary if you want to stay in touch with your mindset and measure your momentum. A journal is not a diary. It's not just a place to unload thoughts. It's a tool for growth, a mirror for your mindset, a record of your process. It helps you see how your thoughts evolve, how your beliefs shift, and how your emotions influence your actions. Most of the challenges people face aren't about skills or time. They're about how they think. And the only way to manage your mindset is to first become aware of it. Writing things down forces clarity, slows your thoughts down just enough for you to see them for what they are. Productive or destructive, hopeful or doubtful, grounded or reactive. When you track your mindset, you notice patterns. You start to see what situations build your confidence and which ones drain it. You understand what triggers stress, distraction, or hesitation. That knowledge helps you adjust before your thinking spirals out of control. Without a journal, these things float around in your head. They stay blurry. But when you write, you bring structure to your thoughts. You move from confusion to understanding. Momentum isn't always visible in your actions. Some days you do a lot, but feel like you didn't move forward. Other days, you do a little, but something inside you shifts. That internal movement where your thinking sharpens, your clarity grows, your focus deepens. That matters just as much as any task completed. The journal gives you the space to capture that. It helps you acknowledge momentum even when the outside results aren't loud yet. And when you see that momentum building on paper, you trust yourself more. You realize you're not stuck. You're moving. Keeping a journal builds self-respect. It shows you care about your thoughts. It shows that you're serious about your growth. Even if you only write for 5 minutes a day, that habit trains your mind to check in with itself. It builds emotional discipline. You don't wait until you're overwhelmed to deal with your thoughts. You deal with them daily. That consistency builds stability. You stay grounded, focused, and present. You don't need a special format. You don't need to write perfect sentences. You just need honesty. You can jot down what you're thinking, how you're feeling, what you're struggling with, what you're proud of, what you're learning, or what you want to change. That's how you track mindset. That's how you track momentum. You don't rely on memory. You create a written trail, a clear record of who you are and how you're growing. When you keep this habit long enough, your journal becomes a blueprint. You can go back and see where you were 1 week ago, 1 month ago, 6 months ago. You see the doubts you've outgrown, the progress you didn't even realize you were making, the changes you've committed to. That kind of perspective is priceless. It builds belief. It shows you that your effort is real, even when results are still forming. And it's not just about the hard day. The journal helps you capture your wins. Most people skip this part. They hit a goal, and then they move on. But those wins matter. They deserve to be written down, studied, appreciated. Because when you're in a low season, reading those entries can lift you. They remind you of your strength, your progress, your ability to push through. They remind you that you've done it before, and you can do it again. Momentum can be fragile. It can disappear if you stop paying attention to it. But when you track it, When you acknowledge it daily, it grows. You don't need big changes every day. You just need steady ones. When you write down the small shifts, more focus today, less doubt, a better mood, clearer thoughts, you keep that momentum alive, and you carry it into tomorrow with more strength. This habit also helps you stay honest. When you write down your mindset, you can't hide from yourself. You can't pretend you're committed when you've been avoiding work. You can't fake motivation when your words reveal fear. That honesty is powerful. It keeps you sharp. It helps you catch yourself when you start to drift, and it gives you the chance to course correct early, before small problems turn into big setbacks. A journal gives you space to process pressure. Life moves fast. Stress builds quickly. If you don't create time to unload and reflect, you carry too much. That pressure shows up in your energy, your focus, your decisions. Writing helps release it. It clears your mental desk. It makes space for better thoughts, sharper ideas, and more centered energy. You become lighter, calmer, more in control. Some people think they don't have time to journal, but you don't need a full hour. You need 10 focused minutes. You need to sit with your thoughts and listen to what they're trying to tell you. That small investment of time creates major returns in clarity, discipline, and mental peace. The people who win long-term are the ones who are aware of what's happening inside them, not just outside. If you want to move forward with strength, keep a record of your inner work. Track the moments when your confidence was high and the days when you had to fight through fear. Write about what inspires you. Write about what's challenging you. Write about what's changing in you. This is your mindset report. This is your momentum tracker. It's more than words. It's evidence. And over time, that evidence builds conviction. When life gets loud, your journal is quiet. When the world is chaotic, your journal is still. It's a private space where you can be fully honest, fully present, fully focused on becoming the person you're working toward. You don't need anyone else's approval to keep this habit going. You just need the willingness to show up, reflect, and write. This is where real transformation happens, not just in actions, but in thoughts, patterns, and beliefs. A journal captures all of it. And once you've built this habit, you won't want to live without it, because now you've got a tool that connects your days, centers your mind, and strengthens your journey from the inside out. Number 9. Remind yourself daily why you started this journey. Every day brings new challenges, distractions, and moments of doubt that can shake your commitment. When the path feels steep and the progress slow, your motivation can falter. That's why it's vital to remind yourself every single day why you began this journey in the first place. It's not just a simple memory. It's a powerful anchor that keeps you steady when storms arise. Without this reminder, it's easy to lose your way and give up before you reach what you set out to achieve. Your reason for starting is the foundation of everything you do. It's the fire that lit your passion and pushed you past comfort. When you think about that original why, whether it's freedom, family, legacy, or personal growth, it brings clarity. It reawakens the energy you had when you first committed. That clarity is like a compass. It points you back to the true north of your goals. It stops you from drifting into excuses or distractions that pull you away from your purpose. This daily reminder doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as reading a note you wrote to yourself, or repeating a statement that holds meaning. What matters is that it connects you emotionally to your mission. When you connect emotionally, you engage more deeply. Your brain moves from cold calculation to passionate commitment. You don't do things because you have to. You do them because you want to, because you believe in what's waiting on the other side of the struggle. Sometimes life wears you down. The grind gets heavy. The setbacks pile up. In those moments, your original reason is the lifeline. It's the only thing that can pull you back from quitting. When you remember why you started, you see that the hard work is not wasted. It's part of the process. It's a necessary step towards something greater than the present discomfort. This reminder gives you permission to keep going, even when it hurts. It's important to make this reminder a ritual. Set a specific time every day, maybe when you wake up or before you go to sleep, to reconnect with your why. Say it aloud. Write it down. Visualize it. Feel it. Don't just treat it like a fact you know, but like a truth that fuels your soul. This ritual centers your mind and heart. It shields you from the chaos of everyday noise that tries to convince you to quit or settle. The power of this practice comes from repetition. The more you remind yourself, the more your subconscious mind accepts your purpose as real and urgent. This changes how you approach your day. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You make decisions that align with your goals. You resist distractions that previously seemed irresistible. Your entire mindset shifts from hesitation to determination. Your why also acts as a motivator. When results lag, sometimes you put in all the effort, but don't see immediate success. It's easy to feel discouraged when progress is invisible. But when your motivation is tied to your why, you realize success is more than number. It's the growth you experience, the discipline you build, and the habits you develop. That perspective keeps you focused on the process, instead of obsessing over outcomes. You'll notice that when you remind yourself why you started, you become more patient. You accept that great things take time. You stop rushing or forcing results. Instead, you trust the work you're putting in. You understand that every small action compounds and moves you closer to your vision. This patience is essential for long-term success. Without it, people quit too soon. Your why is also a source of strength. When fear creeps in, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown, all these fears can paralyze you. But when you hold your why close, it becomes louder than your fear. It reminds you that the risk is worth the reward, that what you want is bigger than your hesitation, that pushing forward is the only way to honor your commitment to yourself. It's easy to forget your why when you're caught up in daily tasks. That's why writing it down is powerful. Put it somewhere you see often, on your mirror, your desk, your phone screen. Make it visible so your mind can't ignore it. When you glance at your why throughout the day, it interrupts negative thoughts and refocuses your energy. It acts like a mental reset button. Some days, you might discover your original why needs to grow or change. That's natural. As you evolve, your goals and values evolve. Regularly reminding yourself gives you the chance to check if your why still fits. If it doesn't, you can redefine it. This flexibility keeps you authentic. You stay aligned with what truly matters to you, rather than chasing outdated dreams or other people's expectations. The journey you're on is long. It's full of ups and downs. Without a strong daily connection to your purpose, you risk losing momentum. You risk letting distractions win. You risk forgetting who you are and what you're capable of. But when you remind yourself why you started, you guard against those dangers. You reinforce your identity as someone who doesn't quit, someone who fights for what matters, someone who believes in the vision they're building. This practice builds resilience. Every time you return to your why, you're strengthening your resolve. You're training your mind to overcome doubt and discouragement. You're creating a mental habit of focus and commitment that carries you through tough days. This resilience becomes a superpower that others may not see, but that changes everything inside. You don't need grand gestures to keep this reminder alive. Small, consistent acts work best. A sticky note, a daily journal entry, a moment of silent reflection. These add up. The key is consistency. The key is intention. Every day you choose to remember why you began. You deepen your connection to your goals and your own power. When your motivation feels low, your reminder is there to lift you. When you feel distracted, it pulls you back. When you doubt yourself, it restores your confidence. This is the secret to pushing forward every day. Not just with willpower, but with a clear sense of purpose. Your why is the foundation of everything you do. It deserves your attention, your respect, and your daily commitment. Number 10. Commit to no 0 days under any condition. Every day matters. There is no such thing as a day without value, a day lost or a day wasted. If you choose to make progress, a 0 day is a day where you do nothing toward your goal. No action, no effort, no step forward. 0 days pile up silently, eroding confidence and momentum. But when you commit to no 0 days, you make a promise to yourself. No matter how hard life gets, no matter how tired you feel, you will do something, anything. Small but meaningful. This commitment transforms your mindset and your life. The power behind this idea is simple yet profound. Progress, no matter how small, beats inaction every time. When you do at least one thing daily, you keep your goal alive in your mind and heart. You keep your skills sharp. You keep your motivation lit. That small action builds momentum. Momentum turns into habits. Habits create change, and change compounds over time into results that surprise even you. 0 days are easy to fall into. Life throws curveballs. Illness, stress, setbacks, distractions. It's tempting to say, I'll start again tomorrow, or today was too hard. But those 0 days add up fast. 1 day turns into 3, 3 into a week, and before you know it, you're stuck in a rut. The guilt and frustration grow, making it harder to get back on track. Committing to no 0 days is your guardrail against that spiral. This commitment doesn't require you to conquer mountains every day. It asks for a simple action that moves you closer to your goal. It could be reading 1 page, writing 1 sentence, making 1 call, or doing 1 push-up. The size of the action doesn't matter. What matters is the daily consistency. You're showing up. You're proving to yourself that you're serious, that you respect your dreams enough to protect your daily progress. When you commit to no 0 days, your standards rise. You start to see every moment as an opportunity. Even the smallest minutes become valuable. You don't waste time because you know every second can be turned into forward motion. This changes how you live your day. You become more intentional, more focused. You build discipline by default. This practice also builds confidence. When you know you have done something every day, you carry a sense of accomplishment. That feeling fuels your motivation for the next day. You start to believe in your ability to keep going no matter what. Confidence isn't born from perfection. It's born from persistence. From proving to yourself repeatedly that you can do what you say you will. Some days, the action you take might feel insignificant. You might think it's too small to count. But that's the moment when no 0 days show their true value. Those tiny steps accumulate. They keep your mind focused. They prevent the defeatist mindset that says, why bother? Even a small step on a hard day is better than no step at all. You'll find that no 0 days create a rhythm. Your brain starts to crave progress. You feel a sense of satisfaction when you check off your daily action. You stop procrastinating because you don't want to break the streak. You want to keep the momentum alive. This rhythm becomes your foundation. It supports you when motivation fades, because the habit carries you forward. No 0 days also help prevent overwhelm. Big goals can feel paralyzing. The sheer size of what you want to accomplish can stop you before you start. But when you commit to daily progress, you break those big goals into manageable pieces. You remove the pressure to do everything at once. You focus on showing up, and the results come in time. This commitment demands honesty and self-awareness. Some days, you might feel like you gave everything you had, and still came up short. But if you did something meaningful, no matter how small, you honored your promise. You're building trust with yourself, and trust is the foundation of long-term success. Life will test this commitment. There will be distractions, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But your promise to no 0 days is your anchor. It keeps you steady. It reminds you that your progress is in your control. No external event can take away your ability to do something, even if it's a single sentence, a small step, or a quiet moment of reflection. Keeping this promise requires planning. You need to know what actions count. You need a clear idea of what small step looks like for your goals. You can't wait for inspiration to strike, because it might not come every day. Instead, prepare a list of mini tasks or actions that you can fall back on when energy is low or circumstances are tough. This commitment changes your relationship with failure. Instead of seeing a bad day as a disaster, you see it as a chance to do your minimum and keep going. Failure doesn't stop you, because you've already made a habit of showing up. You don't allow one bad moment to define your entire journey. You keep moving forward, no matter what. Your No Zero Days pledge also creates a powerful sense of progress. You see the results slowly build. Your skills sharpen. Your knowledge grows. Your confidence increases. You begin to realize that success is less about massive leaps and more about steady steps. Every day you're closer to your goals because you refuse to give up even once. Remember, this commitment is about respect. Respect for your dreams. Respect for your future. Respect for the person you want to become. When you refuse to take 0 days, you say to yourself, I matter. My goals matter. My life matters. That respect becomes the fuel that carries you through difficult times. It also strengthens your mindset. You train yourself to overcome excuses and resistance. You practice resilience. You build mental toughness. Those qualities don't appear overnight. They grow from the daily choice to act, no matter how you feel. No 0 days keep you in the fight. They keep your mind sharp and your focus clear. Over time, you'll notice a change in how you see challenges. Obstacles become temporary. Setbacks turn into lessons. You learn to adapt and keep your promise to yourself. This mindset shift is invaluable. It changes not only how you approach your goals, but how you approach life itself. Making this commitment isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about doing what you can with what you have every day, even on your worst days. That daily action is proof that you're still in the game. And being in the game every day is what creates winners. The journey is long and not always easy. But when you commit to No 0 days, you make it manageable. You turn every day into a building block for your success. You create unstoppable momentum. You transform from someone who hopes for change into someone who makes change happen. That's the power of No 0 days.